Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I uploaded a video. Partly this is because I had a move that was going on, so we moved all my stuff into a new place. And otherwise, I felt a bit of a lack of inspiration for what kind of videos I should do because, well, with Corona and stuff going on, I'm not playing that many live games anymore. And yeah, the ones I play, they are mostly just for relaxation and just to stress out a bit. Yeah, so in the end, I don't really like universal battles that much. So I don't really think it's a nice way of showing the hobby. Um, but I really encourage other people to do so. It's just not my cup of tea. So for this, the upcoming weeks, I thought I could do a bit of a ranking of different choices in army books. So the first choice here is going to be combat lords. I will also focus on wizards, on core unit, core infantry, other infantry, cavalry, war machines, etc. So this is all going to be upcoming in the upcoming weeks. For now, let's just start with the list. So we will start with the pick number 5. This for me is going to be the Barbarian Chief. It's maybe a bit of a surprise to some people, but I found that it's a highly versatile piece. And yeah, you can go some different directions with it. I really like the Shadow Chaser mount on the Barbarian Chief because it gives you the 6-inch Vanguard and a 20-inch March move. So that means that you have a 26-inch move with a hard to catch model with still Vanguard, so your opponent cannot really predict where it's going to go. And yeah, it's just a single model on a 25 by 50 millimeter base then, and it can really mess around. Chimera is also a really interesting choice because well, you can get a decent armor save on a Chimera, and a Chimera itself is really interesting. Dark Chariot is really interesting because you have a chariot then that can flee, which is quite unique in Warriors of the Dark Gods. Wasteland Behemoth, it's a cheap way to get a Wasteland Behemoth. The other choices are a bit more expensive to get this. The major advantages of this guy is, well, mostly he's cheap, but he can still reroll panic tests that he has to take due to battle fever. But he can also still flee, so he's kind of nearly fearless with the ability to flee. He gets a bonus when he is fielded in Barbarians with the Deeds Not Words special rule, where he gets Battle Focus and Hatred. That is really powerful, because basically it means that all of your attacks are gonna roughly translate into hits. And he starts innate with a strength 5. He only starts with AP 1 though. So if you're fielding him on foot, I would be really inclined to give him a spear with the Symbol of Slaughter. I think that is possible. Symbol of Slaughter gives you 2 extra attacks, I believe. I don't know if it's only on hand weapon, but anyway, even if it's only on hand weapon, 5 attacks with Battle Focus and Hatred if you're in Barbarians, because if you're going to be on foot, you're going to put this guy in Barbarians. That is nothing to sniff at, especially for the point cost. So 110 points, 150 points for a bit of a geared up guy. You shouldn't overload him on stuff because, well, the chassis is quite cheap. So if you put 100 points of special equipment on him, he's going to be double the points that he started out as. But for the points you pay, you get a really decent damage output. The only downside, or well, the upside of the Barbarian Chief is that he has strength 5. The downside is that he only has AP 1. So Shield Breaker is a really good choice on this guy also. So just give him paired weapons, Shield Breaker, and you're looking at 4 attacks at strength 5 with AP 6. And you can put him on a Shadow Chaser with Trice Forged for a 1-up armor save. This guy is just amazing for the point costs, in my opinion. Then for my number 4 pick, it's going to be the Ogre Khan Mammoth Hunter. So this is a pick that you quite often see in Ogre Khan armies. If people take it, it's going to be 2 of them around. Yeah, it's really a tough piece that's really mobile with advanced 7 March 14. And yeah, the 4 wounds at resilience, 5 with a good armor save, because, well, if you take it, you are going to put some armor on the guy. You can think of either Essence of Mithril or Destiny's Call. Alternatively, you could maybe also get him up to a good armor save with an Iron Fist. Yeah, that Ghostly Guard, maybe. I believe Ghostly Guard is only heavy armor. Yeah, but those two things get him already good to a good armor save. You can use the Hunting Spear that he comes with for free. And Discipline 9 ensures that he's going to stay around also in combat, because he's going to lose maybe combats by like 1, maybe 2. It's still going to be quite reliable that he's gonna stick in there. If he is going to lose a combat. I mean, he starts out with 4 attacks at strength 5 with AP2. However, he also starts out with impact hits, so if you use him and you get your impact hits, that's another couple of hits. And you can still obviously just give him some extra equipment. The only downside of the Mammoth Hunter, I think, is that he's a loner, so he cannot join any units other than saber-toothed tigers. And yeah, that's it, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is just a really solid piece. It also helps that in your army you can hide behind the other infantry units because they're all large. I don't really know if I would put him on a Tusker. It gives him some extra attacks. It also makes him even more of a target. On the other hand, it's only 60 points. You get some extra attacks out of it. I think in terms of movement, you're actually not that much faster. Yeah, so Mammoth Hunter. If you're playing ogre counts, try them out. Going to the number 3 pick, for me this is going to be the Inquisitor. So the Inquisitor is a choice that, well, a lot of Empire players, they think that they don't have enough points in the character section to field one, because apparently that is quite crowded in Empire. I mean, you need a general, you need a BSB, you need a wizard, probably needs a second wizard. And yeah, that's kind of about it. And there's a lot of complaints by Empire players that, well, the character section is a bit demanding in terms of points. Probably also because they auto include some prelates and stuff. But, well, a prelate is a magic user, so probably he'll feature in the next video. Yeah, so my number 3 pick for a combat lord is the Inquisitor. Once again, this is a combination of just point cost and performance. So this is not a list with the most bashy combat lords or the strongest ones, or this is just, I mean, the Inquisitor is a little bit more than 100 points. It's like a goblin basically. He has easy access to high armor. So he starts out with plate armor. If you give him a shield already, you're at a 3 of armor save. Just 1 shield enchantment away from having a 2-up in combat. And then paired with that goes the Hammer of Witches that raises your attack value to 5 attacks. So then you're looking at a piece with 5 attacks, offensive 5, strength 4, with lethal strike and multiple wounds D3. Now this is not that interesting yet until you pair it up with a prelate. So prelate gives hatred on these 5 attacks and also possibly a reroll to wound. If you have a reroll to wound on 5 attacks with lethal strike that have multiple wounds D3, then yeah, any 6 you rolled for your to wound roll is gonna go through any armor, any regeneration, and it's gonna cause multiple wounds D3. So I have taken out Plague Pendulums just with this, just this guy, Hammer of Witch, is done, and yeah, he just manages to beef up your infantry to such an extent that you can suddenly take a lot of punch. I think the most important combination here is lethal strike, multiple wounds D3. And this opens up the profile for a lot of different builds. So there's an option for a cheap build where you just give him a great weapon and say, well, that's it. I mean, 3 wounds with plate armor, resilience 4. It's not too good, but if your opponent is gonna focus his attacks on the Inquisitor, he'll likely do a little bit less wounds than normally. And 2 attacks at offensive 5 with strength 6, lethal strike, multiple wounds. It's I mean, that's not the best. So personally, I wouldn't take the great weapon on this guy. I think paired weapons and Hero's Heart, or just the shield and hammer of witches, is the better pick. There is an upgrade for Blessed Steel, then you get +2 agility. I actually never saw that it's also +2 agility. That makes it more interesting than I thought, because you also gain +1 strength and +1 AP. If you put paired weapons on this guy once again, well, then you go to 3 attacks, strength 5. Nah, I really like the hammer of witches on this guy, just to get the amount of attacks that you need. You can also combine Blast Steel with Hammer of Witches, then you go to 5 strength 5 attacks. Damn. But it's 65 points. That's taking away the cheap from the Inquisitor and making him quite expensive. However, I do really like the upgrade of Silver Shots. It also makes him more expensive, but your shooting attack gains lethal strike and multiple wounds too, and it must already reroll fail to wound rolls. So if you combine this with a repeater pistol, then you're looking at a total cost for the upgrade of 90 points, which doubles the cost of your Inquisitor. However, if you compare it to a cannon, and this might seem far-fetched, but stay with me. So you have a repeater pistol that has a range of 12 inches. You can still move 4 inches or 5 inches if you have an order on your unit or a banner of speed. Alternatively, if you're in a unit with light troops, you can march and shoot, but we'll just disregard that for now because, well, I don't know if you want your Inquisitor in a unit of state militia. However, you can still also field him on horse with light troops and silver shot and a repeater pistol. Then he really becomes a hunter, but he also becomes really expensive. But just the upgrade of silver shots and a repeater pistol for 90 points, what you get is something that can threaten up to 17 inches away. And you're going to get 3 shots that at long range after moving would hit on 5+, so that's 1 hit. And you have lethal strike, multiple wounds, D3 on that. And if your opponent charges in, you're going to do that again. So you're going to have 2 hits. Strength 4 on resilience 5. Probably would wound once. But it gives you lethal strike, multiple wounds, D3. So just the D3 wounds against the target that wants to get in combat with you, like, for example, I don't know, just a chariot, like a chosen chariot. The chosen chariot is going to first be shot at by you, then it's going to have to suffer the stun and shoot, and then in combat he's going to either have to strike the Inquisitor down or well, the chariot's going to go down. So this piece really changes matchups for single models trying to engage your infantry. I've been talking a lot about the Inquisitor, so I think it's time to move on. For the next pick, we're gonna go to the new Dread Elf army book, and this is gonna be the Beastmaster for me. So the Beastmaster is a really interesting model, I would say. Also because it's still versatile once you are playing your games. So it has discipline fixing for monster mash armies, giving friendly gigantic models within 12 inches of the Beastmaster minimize discipline rolls. So this is basically the divination attribute in a 12-inch bubble, which is just great if you're playing Monster Mash. So it can work on the Manticore or Dragon Mount. No, not on the Manticore because he's not gigantic. But on the Dragon Mount and on your Hydras, Krakens and Mist Leviathan. Then it gives maximized and minimized stomp in a bubble. So even if you're not fielding him on a dragon or anything like that, if you're just fielding him on foot in an infantry focused list, this can still be a valuable general because it just gives minimized stomp in a bubble for all the enemy monsters that are going to go into your infantry. And minimized stomp is really harmful because you're going to miss out on like 2, maybe 3 hits with your high strength attacks. And maximized stomp the other way around is also really potent. I played the dragon once with a Beastmaster on top with maximized stomp, and it's really marvelous. Because you see that you roll for stomps, and you roll like a 1 and a 4, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna take the 4 out of this. Furthermore, if he's on foot, he cannot be stomped, which I think is quite an interesting choice in Dread Elves, because, well, most of the Dread Elf units are going to be infantry units. If you field some cavalry units, either they're going to be very vulnerable to alchemy magic, like the Dread Knights, or they're going to be not that damage resistant, like the Shadow Riders or the Acolytes. So I think for a model to be not stompable and still be able to go in a unit, that is also quite valuable, because you can just bog down a Bloodthirster. Well, a Bloodthirster is maybe a bit extreme. I mean, 7 attacks going on defense 3 and resilience 3. It's gonna be hurtful probably. However, it might still make the difference between living or dying. So your mounts also get maximized stomp, as I said before with the dragon, and, well, ruthless efficiency is the new Dread Elf army-wide special rule. This gives you +1 to wound in the first round of combat, so effectively you're looking at a strength 5 piece here. Once again, making this model really interesting for Shieldbreaker. So with paired weapon Shieldbreaker, you would go to 5 attacks at strength, effectively 5 with AP 6. Sure, you cannot wound on better than 3+ anymore, but, well, with strength 5, the targets you're going to go for are likely not going to be resilience 3 targets. Yeah, mount-wise, you have a lot of different options. I think nearly all of the options are interesting. Well, I don't know if I would prefer him on a horse or a raptor or a raptor chariot. Not even on a Pegasus, maybe. Because I think, well, I did a video earlier where I discussed the different mounts. And probably if you want to go Beastmaster, you want to go either for the Manticore or the Dragon, or on foot. As I said earlier, I think on foot it's still quite interesting. Because you do need a general anyway, and this is quite a cheap way to get a general that does a lot of different stuff at the same time. I think he's really point efficient, so just slap on Shieldbreaker. He starts with a 4-up armor save on foot because of heavy armor Kraken's height. You can give him, I don't know, Ghostly Guard, Basalt Infusion, one of these, and then just call it a day. I know that some people are really enthusiastic about protecting your general in a very drastic way. For me, I mean, if you have a 3-up armor save on your Beastmaster, that's also not too bad. I mean, you cannot be stomped after all. Yeah, so that's my number 2 pick. And then let's continue with the number 1 pick. For the next pick, we're going to go to the new Dread Elf army book, and this is going to be the Beastmaster for me. So the Beastmaster is a really interesting model, I would say. Also because it's still versatile once you are playing your games. So it has discipline fixing for monster mash armies, giving friendly gigantic models within 12 inches of the Beastmaster minimized discipline rolls. So this is basically the divination attribute in a 12-inch bubble, which is just great if you're playing Monster Mash. So it can work on the Manticore or Dragon mount. No, not on the Manticore because he's not gigantic, but on the Dragon mount and on your Hydras, Krakens, and Mist Leviathan. Then it gives maximized and minimized stomp in a bubble. So even if you're not fielding him on a dragon or anything like that, if you're just fielding him on foot in an infantry focused list, this can still be a valuable general because it just gives minimized stomp in a bubble for all the enemy monsters that are going to go into your infantry. And minimized stomp is really harmful because you're going to miss out on like 2, maybe 3 hits with your high strength attacks. And maximized stomp the other way around is also really potent. I played the dragon once with a Beastmaster on top with maximized stomp, and it's really marvelous. Because you see that you roll for stomps and you roll like a 1 and a 4, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna take the 4 out of this. Furthermore, if he's on foot, he cannot be stomped, which I think is quite an interesting choice in Dread Elves, because, well, most of the Dread Elf units are going to be infantry units. If you field some cavalry units, either they're going to be very vulnerable to alchemy magic, like the Dread Knights, or they're going to be not that damage resistant, like the Shadow Riders or the Acolytes. So I think for a model to be not stompable and still be able to go in a unit, that is also quite valuable, because you can just bog down a Bloodthirst. Well, a Bloodthirst is maybe a bit extreme. I mean, 7 attacks going on defense 3 and resilience 3. It's going to be hurtful probably. However, it might still make the difference between living or dying. So your mounts also get maximized stomp, as I said before with the dragon, and, well, ruthless efficiency is the new Dread Elf army-wide special rule. This gives you +1 to wound in the first round of combat, so effectively you're looking at a strength 5 piece here. Once again, making this model really interesting for Shieldbreaker. So with paired weapon Shieldbreaker, you would go to 5 attacks at strength, effectively 5 with AP 6. Sure, you cannot wound on better than 3+ anymore, but, well, with strength 5, the targets you're going to go for are likely not going to be resilience 3 targets. Yeah, mount-wise, you have a lot of different options. I think nearly all of the options are interesting. Well, I don't know if I would prefer him on a horse or a raptor or a raptor chariot. Not even on a Pegasus, maybe. Because I think, well, I did a video earlier where I discussed the different mounts. And probably if you want to go Beastmaster, you want to go either for the Manticore or the Dragon, or on foot. As I said earlier, I think on foot it's still quite interesting. Because you do need a general anyway, and this is quite a cheap way to get a general that does a lot of different stuff at the same time. I think he's really point efficient, so just slap on Shieldbreaker. He starts with a 4-up armor save on foot because of heavy armor Kraken's Hide. You can give him, I don't know, Ghostly Guard, Basalt Infusion, one of these, and then just call it a day. I know that some people are really enthusiastic about protecting your general in a very drastic way. For me, I mean, if you have a 3-up armor save on your Beastmaster, that's also not too bad. I mean, you cannot be stomped after all. Yeah, so that's my number 2 pick. And then let's continue with the number 1 pick. For me, the number 1 pick has to be the Dragon Seeker. It's such an impressive model. You have so many special rules that I can't even count them anymore. Some of these are hidden beneath different names for special rules, like You're Coming With Me is, and the bigger they are, they just combine like 6 special rules. You have Swift Stride on an infantry model. You have Vanguard. You have Unbreakable. I don't know why this model has Vanguard. So Unbreakable means that you can only join Seeker units in your army. So you have to fix a little bit in your army to get at least like 5 normal Seekers, so that you can protect this guy from shooting for 1 round. Against magic, you already have magic resistance 1. So this does help a little bit. But the profile, oh my god, the profile. And also still, yeah, after You're Coming With Me rule. So you are gonna wound at worst on a 4+ with 5 attacks, offensive 7, strength 5. I mean, you can still choose to use your weapon as a paired weapon or as a great weapon, I believe. So if you're going for paired weapons, you start off with 6 attacks, offensive 7, strength 5. At agility 5. Agility 5 for a dwarf is one of the things here that bugs me the most, I think. Yeah, this profile is just already insane. Especially the offensive and defensive 7 is really impressive on a guy. Because characters even struggle to kill 3 defensive, 7 res 5 wounds with an 6 up Aegis that might or might not come into play. If it does, it's incredibly annoying. It still strikes before mount, so what's gonna happen? You can probably just put your Dragon Seeker in front of like a big dragon, take the charge, not get killed by the rider yet, and then you just go to town on the beast. If you have the Monster Seeker rule, you're gonna have multiple wounds 2 against large and gigantic. This is 75 points. It is a lot. However, if you field 3 Dragon Seekers and you make one of them a Monster Seeker, it's also fine. So yeah, naked, it's already naked. It already has good value. And I think people underestimate how good it is at just holding up units unconditionally. Because you have 3 wounds with defensive 7, res 5. If you flank any normal kind of unit, which by now would mean something with, well, either offensive 3, strength 4, or offensive higher than 3, strength 3. So either your opponent's going to hit you on 5+ and wound you on 5+, or hit you on 4+ and wound you on 6+. If you charge any of these guys in any flank of a unit, then you're gonna hold them up for forever. And if you charge into the front, you might still hold them up for 2 turns. Because, well, 6 attacks, like 2 of them or 3 of them are gonna hit. So you're gonna get 1 wound per turn. You're unbreakable, you don't care. And in the meanwhile, you strike back even with 6 attacks that hit on 2+ or 3+ and wound on 2+ or 3+. Well, you're just gonna grind down units with this guy. It's so impressive. Of course, he cannot get any access to armor, but I would say that just in terms of point value, this is just the best choice you can get. Yeah, that would be it for me. My top 5. Probably some of you disagree, or maybe many of you disagree. I don't know. You have to consider that I didn't consider specific belts in general for the different characters. I just tried to consider them in the entirety of their profile. So obviously, if you come with a specific build that is better than any of these guys and can beat any of these in a duel, I'm happy to accept that, especially against like Barbarian Chief that's only 100 points. But yeah, just value for money. I think these are the top 5 lords. Please let me know what you think and if you agree or disagree. And see you next time.